In order to reach varied audiences, academic translators specialize and semi-specialize on various other disciplines such as technology, science, law, economics, etc. Biolinguistics. Biolinguistics is the study of the biology and evolution of language. It is a highly interdisciplinary field, including linguists, biologists, neuroscientists, psychologists, mathematicians, and others. By shifting the focus of investigation in linguistics to a comprehensive scheme that embraces natural sciences, it seeks to yield a framework by which the fundamentals of the faculty of language are understood. Clinical linguistics. Clinical linguistics is the application of linguistic theory to the fields of speech-language pathology. Speech-language pathologists work on corrective measures to cure communication disorders and swallowing disorder. Shika, 1990, showed that people with schizophrenia who display speech disorders, like rhyming inappropriately, have attentional dysfunction, as when a patient, shown a color chip and then asked to identify it, responded, "Looks like clay. Sounds like gray. Take you for a roll in the hay." Heyday, Mayday. The color chip was actually clay-colored, so his first response was correct. However, most people suppress or ignore words which rhyme with what they've said unless they are deliberately producing a pun, poem, or rap. Even then, the speaker shows connection between words chosen for rhyme and an overall meaning in discourse. People with schizophrenia with speech dysfunction show no such relation between rhyme and reason. Some even produce stretches of gibberish, combined with recognizable words. Computational linguistics. Computational linguistics is the study of linguistic issues in a way that is computationally responsible, i.e., taking careful note of computational consideration, of algorithmic specification and computational complexity, so that the linguistic theories devised can be shown to exhibit certain desirable computational properties in their implementations. Computational linguists also work on computer language and software development. Evolutionary linguistics. Evolutionary linguistics is the interdisciplinary study of the emergence of the language faculty through human evolution, and also the application of evolutionary theory to the study of cultural evolution among different languages. It is also a study of the dispersal of various languages across the globe through movements among ancient communities. Forensic linguistics. Forensic linguistics is the application of linguistic analysis to forensics. Forensic analysis investigates on the style, language, lexical use, and other linguistic and grammatical features used in the legal context to provide evidence in courts of law. Forensic linguists have also contributed expertise in criminal cases. Linguistic description. In the study of language description, or descriptive linguistics, is the work of objectively analyzing and describing how language is actually used, or how it was used in the past by a group of people in a speech community. All academic research in linguistics is descriptive, like all other scientific disciplines. Its aim is to describe the reality as it is, without the bias of preconceived ideas about how it ought to be. Modern descriptive linguistics is based on a structural approach to language, as exemplified in the work of Leonard Bloomfield and others. Linguistic description is often contrasted with linguistic prescription, which is found especially in education and in publishing. Prescription seeks to define standard language forms and give advice on effective language use, and can be thought of as a presentation of the fruits of descriptive research in a learnable form, though it also draws on more subjective aspects of language aesthetics. Prescription and description are complementary, but have different priorities and sometimes are seen to be in conflict. Description is sometimes distinguished from descriptivism, which is then defined as the belief that description is more significant or important to teach, study, and practice than prescription. Description is. English linguist Larry Andrews describes it. Descriptive grammar is the linguistic approach that studies what a language is like, as opposed to prescriptive, which declares what a language should be like. In other words, descriptive grammarians focus analysis on how all sorts of people in all sorts sorts of environments, usually in more casual, everyday settings, communicate, while prescriptive grammarians focus on the grammatical rules and structures predetermined by linguistic registers and figures of power for those who are under the control of said authorities to use. An example Andrews uses in his book is fewer than versus less than. A descriptive grammarian would state that both statements are equally valid, as long as the receiver of the message can understand the meaning behind the statement. A prescriptive grammarian, on the other hand, would analyze the rules and conventions behind the statements made and determine which statement is correct, or otherwise preferable according to those rules. Andrews also believes that although the majority of linguists would be descriptive grammarians, the majority of public school teachers tend to be prescriptive. Challenges. Accurate description of real speech is a difficult problem, and linguists have often been reduced to approximations. Almost all linguistic theory has its origin in practical problems of descriptive linguistics. Phonology, and its theoretical developments, such as the phoneme, deals with the function and interpretation of sound in language. Syntax has developed to describe the rules concerning how words relate to each other in order to form sentences. Lexicology collects words and their derivations and transformations. It has not given rise to much generalized theory. An extreme mentalist viewpoint denies that the linguistic description of a language can be done by anyone but a competent speaker. Such speakers have internalized something called linguistic competence, which gives them the ability to extrapolate correctly from their experience new but correct expressions, and to reject expressions which do not convey meaning in the way the speaker intends. For example, an expression could be ambiguous, possibly leading to several different interpretations by the listener. Depending on the speaker's intent, ambiguity can be desirable, as in jokes and other humor, or not. A linguistic description is considered descriptively adequate if it achieves one or more of the following goals of descriptive linguistics: a description of the phonology of the language in question, a description of the morphology of words belonging to that language, a description of the syntax of well-formed sentences of that language, a description of lexical derivation, a documentation of the vocabulary, including at least 1,000 entries, a reproduction of a few genuine texts. Linguistic prescription. Linguistic prescription, or prescriptive grammar, is the attempt to lay down rules defining preferred or correct use of language. These rules may address such linguistic aspects as spelling, pronunciation, vocabulary, syntax, and semantics. Sometimes informed by linguistic purism, such normative practices may suggest that some usages are incorrect, illogical, lack communicative effect, or are of low aesthetic value. They may also include judgments on socially proper and politically correct language use. Linguistic prescriptivism may aim to establish a standard language, teach what a particular society perceives as a correct form, or advise on effective and stylistically felicitous communication. If usage preferences are conservative, prescription might appear resistant to language change. If radical, it may produce neologisms. Prescriptive approaches to language are often contrasted with a descriptive approach. Descriptivism, employed in academic linguistics, which observes and records how language is actually used. The basis of linguistic research is text corpus analysis and field study, both of which are descriptive activities. Description, however, may include researchers' observations of their own language usage. In the Eastern European linguistic tradition, the discipline dealing with standard language cultivation and prescription is known as language culture, or speech culture. Despite being apparent opposites, prescription and description are often considered complementary, as comprehensive descriptive accounts must take existing speaker preferences into account, and an understanding of how language is actually used is necessary for prescription to be effective. Since the mid-20th century, some dictionaries and style guides, which are prescriptive works by nature, have increasingly integrated updated descriptive material and approaches. Examples of guides updated to add more descriptive and evidence-based material include Webster's Third New International Dictionary, 1961, and the third edition Garner's Modern English Usage, 2009, in English, or the Nouveau Petit Robert, 1993, in French. A partially descriptive approach can be especially useful when approaching topics of ongoing conflict between authorities, or in different dialects, disciplines, styles, or registers. Other guides, such as the Chicago Manual of Style, are designed to impose a single style and thus remain primarily prescriptive. As of 2017, some authors define prescriptivism as the concept where a certain language variety is promoted as linguistically superior to others, thus recognizing the standard language ideology as a constitutive element of prescriptivism, or even identifying prescriptivism with this system of views. Others, however, use this term in relation